I think we're live now, Ustad.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just make sure everything is in order. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, Ustad. How are you? It's
Salam
been
warahmatullah.
it's been
Alhamdulillah.
it's
Been
been
a while.
it's been so long
Aeon,
since
Aeon.
aeons, Ustad. I think the last time we saw you maybe
Last year je.
last year, yeah. Quite not
Yeah.
that long lah, tapi long juga lah. And then also like, but of course, even though like you are like so far away, I think the benefits of social media is that we can somehow get connected to each other somehow still. We still meet,
Alhamdulillah.
we still talk to each other, we still like have interactions lah. And
Congratulations for your pursuit for meaning.
alhamdulillah. I used to actually this whole thing like I
Yeah.
also been procrastinating for so long, like maybe for being like 1.5 years like that. No, I've been wanting to do it. One thing was like bothering me was like why am I doing this? Like, is this what is my intention? This whole purpose of doing it. So and then
Search for meaning before you pursue for meaning.
yeah, cause that. So lepas tu this Ramadan, Ustad, was such an interesting thing for me because like kan I always do the bazaar, and the
Yeah.
bazaar has always been like the things that I've been doing every time. And when
Yeah.
this whole COVID thing happened, um, prior to it, maybe like few months before that, I already like was thinking about it, like, oh, is the bazaar gonna happen and stuff like that. And then as though I felt like Allah was preparing me to realize that it was not gonna happen. So the spread was getting harder. And I was thinking in my head, no, I was even defense mechanism and saying like, okay, no, like the government of Singapore will do this, they will close the border, they will make sure this will happen, that will happen, and then it's $1 million project. Why wouldn't they want to make it happen? All these kind of things in my head lah. And then when it didn't happen, and then I was like, wow, like what was amazing for me, the whole entire experience was like I thought what I thought was possible was impossible happened. You know that? Like
Again.
what I thought was impossible happened.
Uh-huh.
Right, that impossibility happened. And that just like shook me, like shook my reality of what I thought was real, what I think was true.
How high your trust is for the government?
Subhanallah. Really, Ustad? Really. That's true, it's true. No, that was how my shallow perspective of life was.
But to be fair, they've been doing relatively well lah.
Yeah,
To
yeah, yeah.
maintain security and peace.
Yeah. But I mean, that's besides the point lah. I really, on my own personal level, it felt like another level lah. So when I realized that, for me, it was like, I realized that I could not control things on the outside as much as I think I could. And that shook my reality. Like, what else am I trying to figure out? What else am I trying to make sense of this? That I think I have in control in my life. And then it was Ramadan. It was just beautiful at that time. And then I picked up some old books to read again, and all of it like suddenly like pieced in together.
What are those books?
I was reading the what? Siapa kali's book, the Stranger, the Books of Strangers, if I'm not wrong. The book.
The Book of Stranger.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was reading also some of the Muslim Faculty Advanced Studies punya buku. The articles on like being and stuff like that lah. And so all the things that I thought I knew before or understood before got more meaning now. And so and then I realized it was a process also, like especially with you. Especially with you. And for me personally, for you, I always like felt I have a deep connection with you, even though we don't meet all the time.
So, the same thing with my wife just now.
Yeah. Really that?
How about you?
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. And
Alhamdulillah.
and whenever you say something, whenever you share something, for me personally, like I always make sure I give you the benefit of the doubt. That I on my side, even though I might disagree with you, on like whatever you say, but on my side, my own personal level, I have to give you, a person who I've met, who I've experienced with, who I share so many moments with, the benefit of a doubt. And because of that, it shook a lot of the things that I thought was true, when I thought was real, I thought was correct, you know. And I think that was one of the key elements which actually changed a lot of my so-called perspective of what is am I how am I living life, you know. And I want to thank you for that lah, you know, since we are having this conversation anyway. So I want to thank you for that also.
Jazakumullah.
Yeah. And also when
We benefited immensely from each other,
Alhamdulillah, Ustad. Alhamdulillah.
not necessarily from words, right? But from just being around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. And why I wanted to speak with you, and then it was like, and honestly doing this live with you, I think it was a very like scary thing lah. Something to do, but I'm embracing it.
Oh, in front of people, you scared.
No lah, no
Just
no
with me, you okay?
no no no. It's
I'm
still
joking,
scared. So so the real reason why I want to speak was you to explore some of the ideas and the things which I feel that is so important lah. One thing is this idea of changing perspective, you know, like for me personally was that like I realize right now after like this Ramadan and few months after Ramadan, like I realize that so many of my perspective has changed, you know, and so many of my how I viewed life, how I did things was changing. But then I noticed one thing. One thing was different for me was for me that I understood where I have done it for other than Allah, you know, like this reason of changing, like pemalas or like, you know, these kind of things. This Ramadan helped me to see like where was my intention in this changing. So there are a lot of changes that I realized that needs courage to do, which is to change your perspective for Allah, you know. And when you recognize that something is true right now it might be true, you have to seize that moment. And I saw how, you know, we how you have changed your perspective over time, and change your understandings over time. How difficult was it? Was it like how what went through your mind? You know, what was going through your, yeah, you know, how was that like?
I believe most of our listeners here are quite aware of what the change that you talk about, right? Particularly, okay, for the benefit of those who are not aware, maybe if you can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, maybe my perspective on you want to be specific?
That was that can
Okay,
Bismillah, yeah.
maybe my perspective on certain part of tasawwuf, certain aspects of tasawwuf, and certain aspects of tariqah, surufiyah, certain aspects of sheikhdom, right? It is quite difficult because the most difficult thing is actually loneliness. Okay? The moment that you tak nak cakap, the difficult part is loneliness. You need to be able to be lonely and strong enough in that loneliness. Be it in a relative moment of time lah, that will not be of course all the way, because throughout the journey you will find buddy, okay, you will find CDs or akhir,
Yeah.
or whatever lah,
Yeah.
call kan.
Yeah.
So I've never expected that loneliness to be felt. I tak perasan, I tak anggap, tak suspect benda tu. Tapi you rasa, okay? Particularly because it is the moment that I had with the Jamaah, okay? With courses that we fought for together, was the period where I felt the most connected to people. You see?
Yeah.
And then when the break happened, so dia daripada peak to that rock lah.
Yeah.
Kan, daripada atas dia pergi ke bawah.
Yeah.
Dia bukan daripada middle pergi bawah, dia daripada atas dia pergi bawah.
Yeah.
But despite that, intellectually I was quite vigorous lah. Okay? I still have that intellectual rigor yang sometimes killed my loneliness lah.
Mm.
Because the moment you are with books, the moment you are with scholars, the moment you are discussing about ideas, you don't feel that loneliness, right? So particularly kalau nak cakap kesusahan dia is about loneliness lah.
Yeah.
Dan tak banyak orang sebenarnya willing to be lonely. That's why Allah says in the Quran, "Intutis aktsara man fil ardi yudilluka an sabilillah." Kan, if you were to follow most people on earth, they will lead you astray.
Yeah.
That is a reminder, because most people actually are attracted to the majority, to the mainstream, to the flow. I'm not saying that the majority or the mainstream, the biggest flow is necessarily wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the pull or the attraction, the magnetism of the majority, of the mainstream, sometimes shuts down our ability to discern what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
But what if they say like Ustad, like the like your change is going to just another group, you know, so like it's like, for example, I give you an example, Ustad, like for me when I watch your videos a lot, and then you know what is very funny for me, I'm afraid if I am just gonna be honest lah, you know, like
Please, let's
like
be honest.
like one of the most interesting was like, especially when you had your recent talk on the LGBT, I mean on women, problems of women and stuff like that. And then you know, one of the I saw one of the comments that we were commenting, they were asking, is this asal ni dari Sufi Batinia, or is this problem of woman problem, the root cause of it is the Sufi problem. When I was
Who said that? I said that.
no, not you, not you.
Someone,
One of your one of the commented lah.
Oh, I missed that comment. Seriously.
Yeah, I saw that comment. So
Okay, what else?
so when I was watching that, you know, sekejap eh. So the one of the things which like struck me was that always there are you what happens is, are you moving into another microscope group also, you know, like are you in this microscopic group which also now looking at the world through this vision of everything in its roots is from this Sufi problem, you know, of this of this problem.
You see, firstly, the comment didn't come from me, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
I did not reply also. But when you are in a process of transition, right, when you realize certain things, you will most of the time speak about it, right? And it will give an impression for the viewers as if your life revolves around that. Kan? But that's not true lah, of course. Kan? But being an Ustad, being someone who heavily promoted Sufism and promoted people like Ibn Arabi and Turuq Sufia and all these things, I felt that I have a responsibility to clear things, certain things out.
Yeah.
Of course, I wouldn't say that whatever I say is 100% correct. Okay? No one is 100% correct. But we need to do something at least.
Yeah.
Okay? So if people were to watch my FB video and only click on the issues on Sufi Batini, and of course, it will flood them as if my world revolves around that.
Yeah.
But when you're speaking about this issue, you cannot help but to have a microscopic view. You know, there's a benefit to microscope also, isn't it? When you want to focus on a thing or something that is considered complex, right? Small and not small in the sense that it's insignificant, right? Like virus. You need to use microscope. Right?
Yeah.
So there's a metaphor that I can give lah.
Yeah. You know, and also like when I observe how you have changed transition, I always reflected on myself, is that like if it takes so much for a person to become better, you know, or to in your, I mean, honestly, is that like people might disagree with you on your position now, but the essence of that change is for we all can have husnul zon is for Allah, you know. I mean, this is the most basic necessity that every Muslim should have for each other. And I think this will like bind everyone together, all the differences, all the perspective. Like what I believe now is that this person is doing this perspective, change his perspective, is lillahi rabbil alamin, you know. And that having that opinion of somebody, like totally destroys all other negative impressions of that person, you know, that is really from himself. And I believe, like, you know, one of my posts that I did for you was that I feel like it's so difficult, you know, like it's so difficult to change, like from what you believe before and to what you see now. It's such a drastic thing, and I personally believe that.
You know why? Because you are kind of person that when you get something, you immerse yourself fully into it,
Mm,
right? So you
mm,
felt that some people, they just touch on the surface, even though they'll be they'll take some time in that group or in that belief system or in that worldview,
mm,
but he didn't immerse himself into it.
mm,
Like you and me,
yeah,
kita immerse,
yeah,
okay? The best that we can,
yeah,
yang terbaik pada each other.
yeah,
We really want what people say
yeah,
in the South is we want the one, kan?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So bila berlaku perubahan ni, memanglah dia sebab macam nak you trying to uproot anything that has rooted inside your being. So
yeah,
memang susah.
yeah. And you know, like the most challenging part was to see for me lah, when I look at you, when I see your perspective. Ustad is going another level, man. It's from, you know, like, you know, whatever like we were doing before is really is like going another, like Ibn Arabi is going, you know. And the people who I know and we know each other, they will go like, you know, Ustad is Wahhabi, man. He's another Wahhabi, going Wahhabi mode today. I don't know. Maybe he is just having, like, he's just sour and bitter from the whole tarika, you know, experience and stuff. Like, that's why he's just going all out against these tarikas, you know. And then from my perspective is that I feel there is somewhat truth in that statement. This is my perspective, that of course this reaction that you have is because that whatever this person has, I'm not saying, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not that whatever these people have been saying all this while is not it. They haven't they, whatever they proclaim or whatever they say that it is, you know, they whatever they claim this whole thing is, they don't have it. They don't even to display these necessary elements which they claim to be part of. And because of that, you realize the problem in that thing.
To be frank with you, Mubarak, it's not so much of the hypocrisy that we experience, right? It's not so much that. Of course, hypocrisy is in every group, every sect. Tiada punya. But what make me turn away is whatever things, whatever statement that caused some stir and trouble in my heart, even when the relationship was good. I later found out that this statement to be really troubling. It's truly troubling. It's truly problematic and should trouble anyone. So I wouldn't want to be drowned in my hatred ke bitterness ke. I mean, kita tak boleh lah jadi, orang kata tu, emo sangat kan.
Yeah.
I tried my best to go towards the intellectual punya aspect.
Yeah.
And memang betul ada problem. Because dulu we heard certain things, we heard certain statements that is being said, you know, secara berlalu macam tu. Then something struck our heart that something is not right here. Something is not right. But because of the group thinking, kan, because of the being together, ada asabiyah, gitu kan,
Yeah.
asabiyah, common cause. So all these troubling statements, this troubling worldview. I wouldn't say iman lah. I wouldn't say belief system. It's like a worldview. These troubling things appeared later to be really, really problematic. Okay? So, and the problem is not minute. It is a serious problem. It's a serious problem. If you heard my explanation about the logos and how it affected, how it changed Christianity. You see?
Yeah.
Is that immense for you? Is that critical?
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
That's how I see this concept of, for example, this concept of Hafifah Muhammadiyah, Muhammad. It is nothing but that.
But Ustaz, what if they what if they tell you, like, Ustaz, usually they will say like, you belum faham. You know, you belum faham, you know, you belum faham. That is the usual statement. But what if, Ustaz, what if I just like, what if these people who are giving you the answers, that these people who are suggesting to you the answer to these questions, they don't know the answer. They think they know the answer, but they don't know the answer, and so they give you these statements because it worked. It worked for 10, like 1,000 people. They've been telling the same story. These guys, they don't think about this, so they just, oh yes, yes, it's right, go on. But
Yeah.
fortunately and unfortunately, some people, they don't just absorb it. They don't just take it as per norm. But what if it was like these people who has been giving you the answers, or the perception that you think these guys have, is actually not what it is? What if it's that, Ustad?
Very good. So of course, we have to check that first, right? One of the pillars of an argumentation, or
Mm.
what we call as a proper research. When I
Mm.
say argumentation, it's not the argument that people understand.
Mm.
It's putting forth your arguments properly
Mm.
in your head,
Yeah.
okay, logically.
Mm.
The first pillar is to make sure what you are arguing against is not a straw man, right? It is really something that they believe in.
Mm.
It is said by them, explained by these people, and you have understood it correctly.
Mm.
So how do you make sure that you have understood it correctly? You have to go through all these steps, right?
Mm.
Everyone may claim that, oh, I've understood Ahkam Muhammadiyah.
Mm.
Or you have not understood, or he have understood it, or my sheikh understand, his sheikh
Mm.
didn't understand.
Mm.
Or his sheikh may have sanat, but may not have the barakah, things like that. People may come up with all kinds of excuses, right? So I ask myself, how do I ensure that I really understood it as intended, right,
Mm.
by these people
Mm.
who originally theorized with these kinds of theories?
Mm.
You know what? I heard from ex-sheikhs of Tariqah who said, who is the highest authority to speak about tasawwuf
Mm.
in our time? None other but the shuyukh of established Tariqah.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yeah.
If they are not considered as credible or
Yeah.
authoritative, then who else?
Mm.
So I went straight to this shuyukh. Not one, not two, more than five. And there are so many shuyukh of Tariqah who left Tariqah. They have reached what we can say as the peak of the path of the murid lah.
Mm.
Betul tak?
Mm.
Dah sampai level, of course you cannot be a sheikh unless you have reached
Yeah.
sana or baka or whatever
Yeah.
lah.
Yeah.
Different Tariqah punya system. Dia dah sampai the highest. And
Mm.
people will believe that their sheikh have reached Isbiyah.
Mm.
Kan? So, there's no higher authority on them. You can ask a professor in a university or the murid of the Tariqah.
Mm.
You go straight to this shuyukh.
Yeah.
And this shuyukh affirmed my finding. Okay? This shuyukh affirmed my finding.
Mm.
And to go a step higher in our process of evidence, finding
Yeah.
evidence,
Yeah.
we go straight to the first person that spoke about this theory
Mm.
and hear what he himself said.
Mm.
For example, people speak about Hakka Muhammadiyah, like, as if it is an Islamic thing, like you don't question it anymore. But when we go to people like Ibn Arabi, he stated in his book frankly that Al-Haqiqah al-Muhammadiyah, or this concept of Noor Muhammad, as people say, is Al-Aql al-Awwal inda al-Akhari. Al-Aql al-Awwal is a term in philosophy. It's a well-known term. Anyone who learns philosophy, Islamic philosophy or classical philosophy, you will encounter this.
Yeah.
The first intellect.
Yeah.
Right?
Logos lah, right?
And guess what? That's Logos.
Mm.
And when you study Christianity, how did they come about with Trinity?
Mm.
This concept of hypostasis, this concept of aeon, it started with the first intellect.
Yeah.
So they actually gave Jesus Christ the position of the first intellect,
Mm.
that Logos, the word, you see.
Mm.
In Islam, we understand that Nabi Isa is given the name as Kalimatullah,
Yeah.
the word of Allah,
Yeah.
right? And the ulama give a very simple tafsir. Kalimatullah means he was created with kun fayakun.
Yeah.
Kalimah refers to kun fayakun.
Yeah.
But these people, they interpreted it as he is the word of God. And the word of God cannot be created.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he must be a part of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
So if you were to go to this writings of the Sufi, especially the Sufi philosophy, you find the same thing being echoed there. That the Haqiqah Muhammadiyah has all the characteristics of God, and all of the characteristics of Allah fit him more than Allah himself.
Which is
You
which
find
which
this kind
yeah
of-
yeah yeah which
you
which
find this
which
kind of
yeah
statement.
which definitely if a person like if it takes and I think also one more thing, like majority of people don't even go to this level and read up all of this kind of level, you know, is that like they
That is the
just
danger.
yeah, that is a danger. And also is that also
That is the danger.
yeah, and also if you realize that like this this thing of thinking like this is so important in every other thing aspect of our life. Just
Exactly.
you know, it is the source of how, you know, I remember we had this conversation before, like you were saying there are people that we are bounded by core definition of words, you know, like we how we perceive things in our life, or how we define words in our life actually creates how we view our life in total, you know.
Yes.
And I realize that majority of people, whatever label they may have, you know, like in now I wouldn't say majority of people, like unfortunately like people in general, we take these definitions very lightly, you know. We take this that the how we just accept common sense or accept common understandings, you know. And what happens is it doesn't just affect your religious perspective, it affects your you know your religious perspective, it affects your entire life and how you perceive God, how you perceive your prophet, how you perceive
Yeah.
living, how you perceiving dying, how you perceive your sustenance. All of it is being affected by just how by not being able to have right reasoning. and
Yes.
and I think connected to everything, Ustad. Like, you know, is connected to everything. This definition of words, how you define, like how you were saying, you know, this Noor Muhammad, all of these are key definition factors in our lives that I believe that people don't even bother reading on, and yet believing in it fully. Right, Ustad?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, وعلم آدم الأسماء كلها. Right? The
Yeah.
first thing that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala taught Nabi Adam,
Yeah.
the names of things.
Yeah.
The proper names of things.
Yeah.
I mean, how can people think without proper words? We are thinking with words, right?
Yeah.
Process of thought most
Yeah.
of the time happens with words.
Yeah.
Unless you have some intuition ke apa semua tu, itu comes without words, kan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time, it's with words. And that is the basic building block of thought. If that basic building block is brittle, it's not clear, habis. You see, it started with how you define, for example, you look at the atheists, right?
Yeah.
They say, of course, God doesn't exist. But when you ask them, you don't even have to ask them. You just have to listen to them. You know that they define God wrongly. For example, people like Richard Dawkins, right?
Yeah.
The central argument in his book, The God Delusion, bestseller tu kan,
Yeah.
banyak orang baca, orang semarang. You know what is the central argument? The central argument, if God created the universe, then who created God? I mean, that's an elementary logical fallacy. Budak-budak punya mistake tau tu. Tahu tak?
Yep.
Because the word God, what does the word God mean? The uncreated one.
Yeah. Yep.
You bachelor Isteri you berapa? Kan? Kau orang bodoh je tanya soalan tu. Kan?
Yeah. Yeah. Like those who don't know speak Malay, Ustaz said like you're a bachelor. How many wives do you have?
Bachelor, how many wives do you have? Kan? It's like only a fool will do that. But
Yeah.
can you believe it? That's the central argument of that book. And how many people actually fall into that trap? Fall
Yeah.
into that nonsense?
Yeah. And they feel like intellectual about it, that they feel like they're pandai for believing that, right?
Betul. That's why I really support Sheikh Mustafa Sabri's call that we need to start by empowering the akal. We need to properly redefine the akal not following the West, but akal yang ada dalam Al-Quran.
Yeah.
Why is it emphasized on the akal? Emphasis on the akal.
Yeah.
So of course, words like God, words like freedom, kan?
Yeah.
Ini, the LGBT movement,
Yeah.
semua salah definition. That is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Liberty,
Yeah.
salah definition.
Yeah.
Happiness, salah definition, wrong
Yeah.
definition.
Yeah.
That is the main point. So, samalah macam isu Hakikat Muhammadiyah Noor Muhammad. And partly, some of the scholars,
I'm okay.
we are disconnected.
No, I'm okay. Connected.
Oh, okay. Some of the scholars are responsible also for this confusion. Because they tried to redefine the word. You see, I understand there are Sunni Muslims who believe in Hakikat Muhammadiyah.
Yeah.
But what they meant by that word, or that
Ustad,
terminology,
they asked you to bring the mic closer.
it's not what they meant with Hakikat Muhammadiyah is not Al-Aql Al-Awwal. Not the first intellect.
Yeah.
Which to me is it's wrong to do that because it adds to more confusion. For example, what if one day people call Rasulullah SAW as the Logos, right? As the Logos, as the Word of God. You see? And some scholars come and say, no, this Logos is not the same with the Logos of Christianity. Of course, along the way, there will be people who strike the similarity and say, sama.
Yeah.
Kan?
Yeah.
So why do we need that word in the first place? Tak perlu. Kita buang. We don't even need it.
Yeah.
You see, it's enough to say that he is Abdullah wa Rasuluh. That is the highest. That is the highest label that you can give Nabi Muhammad SAW.
Yeah.
Not Hakikat Muhammad, not Noor Muhammad SAW.
Yeah.
That's lower. That's even lower, far lower below. So Abdullah wa Rasuluh.
Yeah.
That is the highest.
So I would say,
So betul lah.
yeah. So if you can, we just put it cleanly for those who are listening, like like your problem is not your problem is the terminology, but you accept there is there are people who says that whatever they define it like this, we didn't disagree with that, but there is a perspective that some people have that is probably that you agree with, that you don't have a problem with, right? And the problem is,
for example, the concept of wahdatul wujud, right? If you were to listen to my talks, I said that is a Sunni form of wahdatul wujud.
Yeah.
Islamized or Sunnized form of wahdatul wujud.
Yeah.
But it's dangerous still. But I can understand the perspective of these people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't categorize them as the same level as Ibn Arabi.
Yeah.
Right? They may respect Ibn Arabi, but they may have redefined it. You see?
Yeah.
So there's a certain form of intellectual dishonesty there. I'm sorry, that's the worst I can say about it. But the lay people who employed these concepts, not knowing the root idea, of course they are not to be blamed lah. But if it is being told to them, if it is being presented to them, then they already have then the responsibility to make comparison and think about it.
Yeah.
Right? Especially if you are Sufis, especially if you are in a tariqah, especially if you hear these concepts all the time, then you have the responsibility to check it out. Yes, sorry.
Yeah. And then Ustad, for example, since like we like you have said that there is a position that is accepted, and like and then I also like read before and I've read up before about that lot, like Imam Arabi's text has been like changed, manipulated, by his enemies and stuff like that. All this understanding. And from me is that I just share you my perspective. Is that if you correct me if I'm wrong, is that I find like if I remember the hadith the Prophet said, like if you see something wrong from your brother, something wrong done on your brother, you give him 70 excuses.
Yeah.
And then if you cannot find a good excuse, then you have to check your iman, And then with that perspective, like when I look at, for example, the Ibn Arabi statements, and there is notions where it's like, we definitely cannot accept that, like some statements in there, there's definitely cannot accept that. And then we also have these opinions of scholars who say that no, this has been additions and put in like that. Is it husnul zon to consider that yes, that is all additions from people who are heretics, people who wants to bring down the message of this, whatever else is in this book, you know, whatever else is he's propagating. And then like, I mean, and another thing you probably say about his students, you know, his students that who says that this, but we also like historically like students differ a lot from their teachers, you know, like students like for example like Imam Ghazali and his student, if not wrong, Ibn Arab, Qadi Abu Bakr Ibn Arab, they change, they disagree with their teachers. Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, they disagree with their teachers, you know. So there is this history of changing of opinion, and this history of what do you think about that, sir?
Okay, if let's take it as a possibility. If what I said if is wrong, all of these statements that was attributed to Ibn Arabi is inaccurate. Okay, I'm not fearful. I'm not scared. You know why? Because in the end of the day, I'm not criticizing that Ibn Arabi. You see?
Yes.
Because in my takfir statement, I said, if he said that, if he died on this, you see?
Yeah.
That means there's still room there.
Yeah.
There's still room there.
Yeah.
I am criticizing the Ibn Arabi that is like this. Tap, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's number one.
MashaAllah. Yeah.
Number two is this. We have to look at the evidence lah. One of the indisputable evidence is, especially for Fususul Hikam, right? The manuscript is there, written by Ibn Arabi himself. There's no doubt about its authenticity. You see? And no one doubts its authenticity only until, what, after 100, 200 years after that. Okay? But, bila tengok manuskrip asal, okay, sebenarnya tak beza dengan apa yang being circulated today. Ada differences, minor differences saja yang does not affect the core point that he's trying to convey. But in the end of the day, the core points of Fususul Hikam is already present in Futuhatul Makkiyah actually. And there are scholars who have realized that at the beginning, but because he balanced it out with Sunni perspectives of things, with the mainstream ideas, okay, so people, okay lah, kita husnuzon. But Fusus tu macam KO knockout punya hit lah.
Okay.
Like, you should not doubt me anymore. I'm being very frank with my akidah. You see? For example, he speak about Nabi Ibrahim, right? Allah commanded him to slaughter his son. Ibn Arabi said, Nabi Ibrahim made a mistake. You see? So, when you were to read his statements, he may not claim to be better than the prophets, but he acts as if he's better than the prophets. In many statements that he makes, you see, he acts as if his maqam is higher than the prophets. He even criticized Nabi Noor, he criticized Nabi Ibrahim. I mean, who the heaven are you in the first place? Your name is not even there in the Quran. Right? If you are so great, if you are even greater than them, Allah will have mentioned your name in the Quran. You're not there. So something is seriously troubling about this man.
I see.
Okay. There's so many others lah. That's for another session lah.
But that's the thing, you know, when a person, for me, it's like when a person goes into such a transition, you know, when you, for example, you finally, all of this that is like for me is like finally you face the things you didn't want to face, you know, all of this that you kept inside, hold it in these many years, you know, and then you finally say no, you know, when everything is like not gone, you know, when you put in that lowest point where you like so-called lost the people around you, and all of that thing that was troubling you all this while just came
not
on.
You lah, not you. You're still around.
Alhamdulillah. They came in right in front of you and they said, no, I have to face this, you know. And I think
be frank with me, Mubarak, sekejap, be frank with me. When you are in a tariqah, right? You know the tariqah. Do you feel that sense of elitism there?
Yes. And you said,
when we say elitism, it doesn't mean that we are elite, we are the best. No. But we felt that this path is the path of the elite.
You know,
we may say, I'm not that great, I'm still trying my best, but the path that we are taking is the path of the elite. So that's not something easy to give up.
Yep. Ustad,
tend to be open about that. Yes.
yeah, Ustad, I totally agree with you. And this is one of the biggest problem or the biggest things I was facing myself, because I had to be honest with what you were saying. I had to be honest with the things that you were saying, and I reflect to myself, it's true. So I was saying something true.
But that's what they say.
Yeah,
It's
but
written in the book.
Ustad,
You see?
this is what how I understood it, Ustad. If I may share how I understood it. Like right
Please,
now,
please.
how I understand this whole situation is that the people of the Turuk, the people who are claiming to be on this tarika, on a tarika or path, they cannot they the reality of it is the person who is that you everyone is actually on a tarika. Everyone is on the path back to Allah. This is a reality. That is a given. But this
Define.
but this but but when we talk about experience of this, what these people claim to be in tarika, claim to be, I realize the majority of these people who claim they are part of tarika, they don't have it. I believe they have brought the level of what is a tarika, what is a path, what is this path that they're speaking about, such a low level that even people of normal people can cling on to it, or people who are charlatans can cling on it, the liars can cling on it, because it's so low. It's such it's within reach. And so charlatans cling on it, everybody cling on it, and what happens is it is destroyed. So I believe there is something higher, and I explain to you why is that. Like when I was just reflecting upon, like, for example, on the so many years that I've been part of different groups, being with them and speaking with them and joining them, I recognize the fact that you said this elitism, because I realized for me personally, it was my own situation that I felt this path was elite. The reason I felt it was elite was because of these people who were telling me
Elite meaning is the best path, right? The fastest path, right?
Yes,
Makes sense.
the fastest path, right? But these people forget.
And the highest path.
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
Yes.
But these people, what they have made the Turuks into like a religion itself. Like Islam, there's Islam, and then there's Tariqah. But it cannot be like that. It's not like that. If you say it has to be one. It has to be one in its essence. And I realize that for now, when I look at Turuks and look at Tariqahs and look at this path which they claim to be, I realize that whatever a majority of these people claim it to be is not it. One is because that once you are in a tariqah, for example, like, or you claim to be part of a way, you should be a person who is a universal person. In a sense, like, the statement where every Muslim brother is so important to you. The one who is experiencing in China, the one who is experiencing in Egypt or in Palestine, it hurts you as real as it should be. This is like the starting factor of you want to talk about being true, connecting on the path of spirituality, But we don't, they don't do this kind of things. And when I realize this, is like when whatever they speak about, they speak about other people. They speak about how this group is the most important group. Everyone else doesn't have it. And I realized that the exact same thing which the Prophet ﷺ, which was asking us to go to asking us to unite the entire Muslims together, to bring everyone was one ummah, to literally is beyond blood, flesh and blood. That doesn't, you don't have it, and when something wrong happens, or your teachers does something wrong, or your teachers do something that is beyond the Sharia, what you do, you defend him, and you use the Sharia, you use the words of the Prophet ﷺ to justify or to make sense of their wrong actions. And I feel that is the most like terrible thing you can do. But because they have made this Turuk into a religion by itself, they have missed the point.
You see, we need to understand how did it become a religion, right? If it's only about taqwa, about brotherhood, about qudwah, following someone that is better than you, about being give all of your heart in ibadah, and in the love of Allah, in the love of Rasulullah SAW, it will not turn into a religion of itself. You know what turn it into a religion? It is those concepts that I've talked about. The concept of Wahdatul Wujud, the concept of Haqiqah Muhammadiyah, the concept of Kutub, Abdal.
Of the wrong understanding of those terminologies lah.
I will say there's no correct understanding of it lah. All of it is actually wrong. Okay. I can defend my thesis. Okay,
I
tapi
know.
tak apa.
Yeah.
You see, I give an example. How can you criticize your sheikh if your sheikh is the kutub?
Yeah.
And do people really understand what is the concept of kutub sebenar-benarnya? You know, only the close ones to the sheikhs will understand. Because the sheikhs will look at the murid and say, ni belum ready. You're not ready. I will not expose to you the reality of these concepts. But as you raise in ranks, okay, they will expose to you certain things, okay, yang melanggar akidah. Okay, like most people understood Qutb as the greatest wali that is living in this time or in our time. But Qutb is the manifestation of the haqiqah of Muhammadiyah, of Muhammad. He is the penjelmaan. Okay, I give an example. Abdul Karim Al-Jili. I think you've heard this a couple of times in my talks. Abdul Karim Al-Jili. He claimed that the haqiqah Muhammadiyah will manifest in different bodies and different flesh throughout history. And this manifestation has not stopped.
Yeah.
So in times of Muhammad SAW, it manifested in the body of Muhammad ibn Abdullah. And after that, he manifested in different bodies. And dia can manifest in bodies of Qutb.
Yeah.
And when you realize that your sheikh is the Qutb, you have to treat him as how you treat the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does that mean? It means you have to treat your sheikh as ma'soom. Oh, it is all there. These are the principles of turuq.
Yeah.
If the sheikhs of tariqahs were frank about it, not many people akan masuk sebenarnya.
Yeah.
But they will look at your readiness. You tak ready, dia takkan cerita.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Only when you are ready, they will expose to you all these things.
Yeah. Okay, but Ustaz, how about I propose you another perspective and you tell me what you think. You know, like when you speak about that the Muhammadan person, the person of the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, no, that person who bears the prophetic heart, or in that sense, that's what they will say, right? That's the tariq, what Hakikah Muhammadiyah. You know, like how I've understood it is that like it's we are all
being the akhlaq, being
the guy, being
I've considered that possibility, but don't worry, okay? These possibilities have been considered.
Yeah.
But you cannot, then the first person that you have to treat like that is Abu Bakr Siddiq radhiyallahu anhu. The first person that you have to treat like that is Sayyidina Umar. Then they should not only be treated like that, they should claim that they have the right to be treated like that. But you don't find such claims coming from them.
Yeah.
Because there is no such thing as a person who is able to embody all of the teachings of the Prophet,
for sure,
the akhlaq of the Prophet. Sure. No one will be able to do that.
For sure.
So for you to claim, or for Abdul Karim Al-Jili to claim, I'm not talking about you, for these people to claim that you have to treat your sheikh as how you treat the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's itu priesthood. Itu dah masuk level priesthood, or even to the level of worship. Because if you to understand the theological repercussion of Haqiqah Muhammadiyah, dia bukan hanya mendewakan Nabi, dia dah sampai hampir jadikan Trinity tau. The concept of Trinity tu dah sampai dah. That's why the Prophet SAW said, La tutruni kama atratin Nasara ibn Maryam.
Yeah.
You know, this is a very famous hadith.
Yeah.
It's very strange. The Prophet say, do not raise me, jangan melampau-lampau, exalt me extremely as how the Christians exalted Jesus.
Yeah.
And when you see that point of exaltation, it's nothing but the concept of Logos.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the concept of Logos have already infiltrated into the Muslim Ummah through the concept of Haqiqah Muhammadiyah, Noor Muhammad, Qutbaniyah, and all these things.
Yeah.
So this is how it was turned into a religion. I can understand why some murids cannot even consider the fact that maybe my sheikh made a mistake.
Yeah.
How can he made a mistake? He talked to Allah, right? He received not wahyu, but it's actually wahyu lah sebenarnya. It's nothing but wahyu sebenarnya, but they do not want to say it. They receive wahyu. They are in constant communication with God.
Yeah. But
in fact, it's not them anymore there.
Yeah.
They have perished, you know. They have reached Fana. It's not even them talking.
Yeah.
So how can they even be wrong? That's how it turned into a religion.
Yeah. Ustad, can
this is my perspective.
Can I share with you that like how
please.
how I understood is like one of it was that of course it came from this challenge of thinking to make sense of whatever we have been believing and stuff like that. So I came up to this idea, and I want to share with you is that the first and foremost, the struggle of Islam, like this struggle that we are going for, is to be have complete ikhlas with Allah. You know, tauhid. To be our intention must be pure and sound. You know, like every and we know that with Allah, for Allah, there's no restrictions of space and time. You know, like he is beyond all of that. You know, and for him, he can, if he wants to, he can change space and time for anything, like he can change barakah, you know, and stuff like that in space and time. You know, he give more meaning to the little risky that we have, and he still can give more. And his initial intention of the most important part of this human being is that he should be able to arrive at complete ikhlas of Allah. And to have this complete ikhlas, it means that it's not just having it rationally in the mind. That is not a rational concept that we have in our mind. It's living. We are living through the ikhlas, right? And when we living through ikhlas, which means that we recognize as a human being that we experience so many things so many times, in so many things in a day, in the 24 hours in our day. There is so many moments that we go through. There is so many feelings that we go through. There's so many layers and layers of experience that we go through in a day. And the task of the human being who is in this Islam, who pursues to have complete ikhlas with Allah, is that every single moment that he can, he makes his will ikhlas for Allah. You know, he makes his pursuit to Allah in sincerely. And that person is determined by Allah, will make mistakes. I mean, everyone is determined, will go into wrong actions, determined by Allah, you know. But must make mistakes. And this,
human.
yeah, and that is by being human, you know. And the only difference is the person who enters into this sin or enters into this wrong mistake. I believe that is central of it is his intention, his will, in that sense. You know, what was his state of his heart? You know, was his intention lillahi ta'ala? You know, he fell into wrong sin, he straightaway tawbah, he changed, you know, he straightaway make his amends with himself. And so recognizing that every human being is going through this, every human being is going through this experience which Allah has played out, and the only faculty that we have, the only ability that we have, is our sincerity, our intention, our niyyah. When the Prophet said inna amal bi niyyah, right, that every action is based on intention. And the realities, and the unknowns of our destiny is beyond us. We cannot imagine what is going to happen after this. There's no possibility of us imagining. But what we have in control right now is myself. I have control of my being now, in that sense, of my state of my heart, of state of how I feel, the state of how I am, my intention of doing this, speaking to you. Is this as sincere I can be to Allah? And I feel that is all that we have. And the path of what these people are claiming to be, or this path of this shuyuks or everything. When I read, for example, Ustad, like, there are so many counter perspective to what you have said, like where the sheikh, they say they're maksum. There, for example, there's you know, the people will say things like the sheikhs will go into a situation where a small kid can teach them. Like an example, a small kid can teach him what is true. You know, like for a man, for example, they said the zuhud. It wasn't one of sorry, it was about zuhud. The man, he said the sheikh was walking, and then the boy came into, yeah, sheikh, tell me what is zuhud. And then the zuhud said, zuhud is that if you have nothing, then you say alhamdulillah. And then the boy said to the sheikh, that is the zuhud of dogs. You know, what you then the dogs in my town. They say, then you tell me what is zuhud. And then the boy said, zuhud is when you don't have, you say alhamdulillah, and when you have, you prefer others to have it than you. You know, he said it's true zuhud. So, and there are stories about that, as like, for example, real accounts of shuyuks, you know. And then I realized what happens is, in this confusion, when where is those kind of men? You know, is, you know, the thing that I realized that, why are we always, is there a possibility that those kind of men who can be taught by children, and who is willing to learn by children, and who is willing to absorb, to be conscious of his intention at every moment, isn't that a man of Allah? You know, and isn't that a person who strives to be in that moment all the time? Isn't he worthy of being followed? You know, what do you think, Ustad?
I mean, of course, if we want to take that story uh, as how it is being presented, okay, the husnuzon, I wouldn't say that person is necessarily a man of Allah. That is actually honor. It's being honorable. And being honorable is not a monopoly of a Muslim.
Correct.
What more a man of God,
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah.
You find great honor being displayed by non-Muslims, right? Like in this field, we are the same.
Yeah.
Courage, bravery, honor. You find similar stories from atheists.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
You'll find similar stories from polytheists.
Yeah.
You'll find similar stories from the Jews and the Christians. So you'll find beautiful stories in the books of Ibn Arabi. You'll find beautiful, great works of men like him, right? Abdul Karim al-Jili and so on and so forth. But what I'm concerned with is the tenets of faith. Because you see in the Quran, Allah speaks about al-lazina amanu wa amilu salihat. These are the two conditions for you to be accepted by God. You need to have correct belief and good action, right? Good action itself is not enough. No matter how sincere you are, you find sincerity among the polytheists. You say, I will give my life for Hanuman, for example. And they will do it honorably if you were to look at it from the outside.
Understood.
But where is the al-lazina amanu? We need to get it right. See, we need to respect Allah. We need to worship Allah in terms of iman first.
Yeah.
What do you want me to believe about you? See? How have you revealed yourself to mankind?
Yeah.
And I want to hold on strongly to that.
Yeah.
And I want to do good.
Yeah.
So, moral stories, honorable stories are good, but it is not necessarily reflecting a true and correct iman.
Iman, I understand. Yeah, but I was talking about the destiny.
It is honorable. It is honorable.
Yeah.
Yes, it is honorable.
Yeah.
And if the person is sincere, I believe Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala will guide the person.
No,
eventually.
Yeah. What I was trying to get to was that this tariqah that we are in, this men who they are claiming to be, that sheikhs that are, they are supposed to be like a person who is willing to learn, willing to experience, who's willing to check.
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood your point.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I believe if you were to ask the murids of these tariqahs, right, they will say that their sheikh reflected that. But it is only after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, after doing certain projects, right? Certain conflicts, then the true humanness of the sheikhs comes out. When the brainwashing punya veil dah unveiled, dah tersingkap, then people start to see the humanity of the sheikh.
Yeah.
But partly it is some of the shuyukh that needs to be blamed because they portrayed such false charisma sometimes. Okay. False charisma. You cannot say, oh, it is the murid that thought that I am maksum. I have never said I am maksum. Okay. But it is how you speak, how you do your things, how you portray yourself.
Yeah.
See, people do not only take from your words.
Yeah.
Because tasawwuf is also being, right?
Yeah.
They always repeat that.
Yeah.
Being.
Yeah.
But when people say, I thought you're close to Allah, I thought you dah fana, I thought, I never said that. Bila dah kena corner, they say, I have never said that. That is dishonest lah to me.
Yeah.
Okay? To me, it's dishonest. And we have to also be careful of the wolves in sheepskin.
Yeah.
Right? They are around.
Yeah.
There are many people who are like that.
Yeah.
You know, actually my contention with Turuk Sufia actually goes deeper than this. The hypocrisy of the sheikh or the hypocrisy of the murids. Of course, not all. Many sincere people are there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But it goes deeper. Yeah. But this is not the time for us to speak about it.
Inshallah, we will have another session for that. I will definitely want to understand how you have explore the idea. And another thing is that, like, one of these things that helped me a lot, like when I realized that this being able to face your crisis in your face especially for every human being that is so important, because as a man of this 21st century, I realize that the what I have experienced now is a so-called I feel majority of men go through is that we feel this lack of manliness, this lack of purpose of being a husband, and
Yeah.
this crisis that we go through, this crisis that if we don't fix this crisis, that for example, intellectual crisis, religious crisis, like all these crises, and when we get married and we are not ready to face this crisis of realizing that your whole life you were not actually, like like in a situation to be ready to get married, and you thought you were ready.
You were not even a man.
You're not
before
even
that.
a man in the first place. And when you get married and you get shocked, like shocked that this is it. This am I this fantasy island of what I thought a marriage was is not it at all. And I realized that the central of it is that we escape. We run away from our problems. We don't want to solve our issue. And I realize this is one of the central theme of the 21st century man. For me, like when I look at myself, is that I rather say tak apa lah, biar my wife bising. I don't say anything even though I feel unhappy. But the problem is that I feel that the woman nowadays look at us men, look at me, look at us men, and they do not see how you are manly, how you can lead us, how you can lead this family together. And so naturally, even though society teaches them that they are independent, but inherently inside of them they have this attraction or this love for person who can take them by the hand. And the example, some people who have close connection with their fathers, you see that. But for the husbands, they don't see that at all. Because, and I think the root cause of it is because that we in this 21st century, or this us at this time, because we are cowardice in that sense. We don't want to face our challenge, face our difficulties, and we run away from it and just let it be. Like what would you be to tell about, what would you say about people who are facing this right now?
I mean, let's speak about one of the factors that leads to this. I mean, there are so many factors. I spoke about the sexual revolution, how it has blur the conception of man. What does it mean to be a man, or even what does it mean to be a woman?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say that it began in 1960s lah. For those of you who are interested or who can understand Malay, you can refer to my Facebook Live. I speak about the sexual revolution. But I also want to speak about the encroachment of the government into family life. You see, it's like the government throughout the world, okay, coming to families and say, husbands, I will take the bulk of your responsibility. Okay, you can continue to do what you need to do, what you wanted to do, but the bulk of responsibility, it is upon our shoulders. This is being told to men. Let's go back 100 years ago. What does it mean to get married? You see, what does it mean to get married? You have to take care of this woman. Okay, you probably live in one kampong, one rural area, like where there's no hospital, there's no police. I mean, you become the police for your wife, for your family.
Yeah.
You become the doctor for your family.
Yeah.
You even become the teacher of your family.
Yeah.
So before any man were to get married during that time,
Yeah.
whether they want it or not,
Yeah.
they know they will have to face that.
Yeah.
Isteri sakit, dia akan kena masuk hutan cari akar-akar kayu,
Yeah.
buat. Today, isteri sakit, klinik apa buka? Google. Kan? Where is the honor in that? Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kan?
Yeah.
Ada perompak pencuri, dulu the husband will take the parang.
Yeah.
Tak apa, I mati defend you. Oh, that's the honor of man.
Yeah.
That's when you taste manliness. Sekarang tak ada. Call polis terus. Polis yang akan take over. Government take over again.
Yeah.
Hospital.
Yeah.
Government take over.
Yeah.
So part of responsibility has been taken away.
Yeah.
This is the problem with men. You take our responsibility, part of our manliness will be lost also.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, people speak about how wars make men, right? I'm not encouraging that we should make wars. No, tidak. But you speak to war veterans.
Yeah.
Okay? You will only understand what manliness means, and also brotherhood. From people who went to war, who have put their life in line, right, for their country or for their family.
Yeah.
That sense of responsibility. That's why I like what Jordan Peterson has been saying.
Mm.
Take responsibility. That's
Mm.
where you'll find meaning. That's true.
Mm.
It's the emphasis on mas'uliyah,
Mm.
that responsibility. But today, sorry to say, only we speak too much about rights, right?
Yep.
If you were to compare two person, satu asyik minta hak, yang satu asyik tanya apa tanggungjawab dia. Which one is a better person? Very clearly, isn't it? Which one is a stronger person? Which one is a more honorable person?
Yeah.
I want to know my responsibility.
Yeah.
What is my right? You abuse my right, tak habis right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, it is the encroachment of the government into family life to buatkan lelaki jadi kurang kelakian. Okay? And if I have time, I want to speak a little bit on the sexual revolution, if you allow me.
Yeah, for sure, Ustad. Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Bismillah.
The sexual revolution have caused marriage to become something meaningless, okay? Because women have started asking this question: why should I even get married? Okay? I go to work. I also have to pay part of the house, part of the car. Okay, it seems that if I were to be alone, it's better for me. It's easier for me. And men is also asking the same question. Sex is available out there, for example.
Yeah.
Right? I can find love anywhere.
Yeah.
Without commitment.
Yeah.
Without children. Why should I pick up this susah-susahkan diri? You pun tak nak.
Yeah.
Dia pun tak nak. But some people actually did end up getting married. But these things remain unclear. So when they get married, the concept of leadership in the family hilang dah. Kan?
Yeah.
Whereas in Islam is very clear. Gender roles are clear.
Yeah.
Clearly delineated.
Yeah.
I give you one hadith. The Prophet SAW said, Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyati. All of you are a leader. You are leaders. Okay? And you are responsible for those under your leadership.
Yeah.
And then he continued by saying, Wal amiru mas'ulun. And the amir, the leader, is of course responsible. And then the Prophet continued on by saying, Wal rajulu ra'in ala ahli baytihi. Okay? And the man is responsible, is a leader to his family. And then the Prophet proceeded on by saying, Wal mar'atu ra'iyatun ala bayti zawjiha wa waladihi. And the woman is the leader, the manager of the husband's house and his children. And then the Prophet repeated the same statement, Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi. So it's clearly delineated.
Yeah.
Who is the leader? But today, of course, women will ask, but my husband do not portray leadership skills at all. You see? I do not trust him. He himself do not trust himself to be a leader. Okay? You know why? Because this thing has not been made clear before marriage.
Yeah.
Even in the society.
Yeah.
We see broken men everywhere.
Yeah.
Broken men. Broken men. This is one of the saddest things to see. Lelaki yang sudah tak pandai, lelaki yang sudah tidak berani. Tak apa, slowly take him out, kan? So, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, these gender roles needed to be re-established.
Yeah.
Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala nisa.
Yeah.
What did Allah say in the Quran? This is very important statement. Qawwam, many people misunderstood it. Okay? Of course, there are some scholars who translated it like that. But they say man is more authoritative over women. But I am inclined to translate it as qawwam. It comes from the word qa'im, someone who is always at your service. That means a man is always at the service of women. Now that's a different perspective.
It changes everything.
It shows that you are capable. Yes.
Yeah.
It shows that the man is capable of taking care of women.
Yeah.
And the responsibility is on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Of course, not in everything.
Yeah.
Women can also take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But there are things that men should say to women, I am at your service.
Yeah.
Qawwam.
Yeah.
It comes from qa'im. Someone who's always standing beside you and say, I will establish what you need to be established. I will help you. I will settle the matters.
Yeah.
Ala nisa.
Yeah.
Of women. And then Allah explains why. Bima faddallallahu ba'dahum ala ba'd wa bima anfaqu min amwalihim. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given some things that Allah has not given. Allah has given a gender. Allah has not given the other gender. Okay, and then وَبِمَا أَنْفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ, and what they have contributed from their wealth. That means nafqah, financial obligation, is on the shoulders of men. And
In
financial
general,
obligation, in general, provisions, giving up provisions, that in itself warrants respect from the wife. Means I give you my body, I give you my body, my blood, my sweat. I face the threats of, all these struggles out there that I have to face. Survival of the fittest, the dog eat dog world. To feed you, to protect you. See? So, tapi sekarang ni marriage dah jadi macam very easy, senang. Nak cerai pun senang, nak kahwin pun senang. So, the meaning totally lost.
Ustad, I was just thinking about it like of some time back. Like this whole, how I picture it, like maybe you look at it like 3 generations ago, and like 3 generations ago, 4 generations ago, our grandmothers and our grandfathers, the older generation would probably be, their job was their, like you were saying, their kampung, and so like the men will literally do all the labourers job, right? They will do all the labourers job, they will do the hard job.
They have more responsibilities. I would say that.
On the how is it I say it, like they have like hard labourers job lah, right, in a sense. And the woman's role, because she witnessed it herself, that I cannot do what this guy does, I cannot carry those logs, I cannot carry those, I cannot go into the jungle 3-4 days, my baby cry 1 minute, I still have to run back, they cannot do what the men do, and so this dynamic relationship that the man, and then this man, he cannot do what the woman does, by his own nature, and to make the family survive, he needs to do what he has to do, which is go into the jungle or whatever he has to do, travel. And so in such reality, the man literally sees the man that she needs this guy, right? And the man looks at the woman and say, I literally need this woman. They could see it, beyond
the real need for each other. Real need. Not artificial need, It's not like kalau you tak ada pun tak apa, I boleh survive. Tak. I really need you.
I really need you. And that such relationship bounded them in ways some majority people will never imagine nowadays. And like when I see my grandmother, when she speaks about my grandfather, she remembers only like the beautiful things, and she will cry because they see that need, that need of each other, and it goes together with their insight, with their heart, with their soul. It binds together, and
they really become one. They really became one. You see?
And what we have today, I realize, is because of this. Like ever you said, like the man has lost his responsibilities, like the need to protect the wife, the need to go outside, and so naturally, sometimes the woman, Ustad, how I think about it is that naturally this woman, she looks at this man, like I can do whatever he does. I can go work. I can do the same thing that he does. Why does he hold this higher authoritative, higher position, not higher position, this different role that assumes that they are more important than me. But I realized, and then I was thinking to myself, Mubarak, like this is the playing field. I cannot change this playing field. I cannot change the state of this world right now. I cannot make anything. This is gonna be the status quo. But I looked at myself and I said, like, what can I do to revive or to regain this state of heart or this state of man that
can we pause for a while je? Sorry ada accident sikit kat rumah.
Okay. Maybe for everybody else who's here, you can ask some questions and stuff like that if you need to.
Sorry, my baby went to sleep.
No problem with that. No problem.
Okay, so
So I was asking myself, like, if the default is that I cannot change the circumstances. The default is I cannot change how the situation is, but what I can change is how I handle the situation, right? So I looked into myself and said, like, what can I do right now if I want to change the situation? I want to make myself into this man who my wife or my partner or my wife can see that I'm a leader. And then I realized that it cannot be the things that our forefathers do. It cannot be the same
Of course.
situation. It has to be redefined. It has to be revived. It has to come out from something from inside. And what would you think is that? You know, what is that state?
You see, um, when we speak about the traditional characteristics of man, right? How will people list it?
Courageous.
How will you list? Courageous. What else?
Courageous.
A willingness to sacrifice
Yeah.
for something higher than yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What else? Protective. You give security,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All these things can still be provided today, right? How do you do that? You see, in modern city states, sometimes what is there to fight for, right? What are the dangers there? There's no tigers roaming around.
Yep.
There's no perompak roaming around. Kan sakit pun bawa pergi hospital. So how do you portray this courage to your wife, or not portray it? That means you also need to exert it for you to be fully human.
Yep.
You need to do all these things,
Yep.
right? The word is jihad. And what do I mean by jihad? It's the struggle. We, as human beings, we should find a cause to fight for. For example, if your life is okay, fine, my work is okay, my family life is okay,
Yeah.
weekends, I can jumpa my parents.
Yeah.
I mean, something is missing there. What are you fighting for? And when we're speaking about fighting for something, that means there's a possibility of you getting injured spiritually or emotionally,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
There's a possibility that you have to sacrifice the things that you love the most.
Yeah.
Okay? But these things will only take place if you have a cause to fight for. What causes that we can fight for? Simple example, for example, people who fight for the underprivileged people, right? Who are willing to sacrifice their weekend, their rest times, sacrifice their money,
Yeah.
kan, to feed the poor or to help the, those who are tak bernasib baik,
Yeah.
or even fight for religion, for example. See, to say things that people are too scared to speak about,
Yeah.
right? To state the truth and bear the repercussion
Yeah.
of your statements.
Yeah.
This actually makes up a man. And trust me, the people around you will say it. They will get affected by it. Okay? For example, if you are injured, they will be injured too. They akan terkesan. But they will eventually ask themselves, why do we have to go through this? What's the need for this? What's the purpose of all this? Then eventually they will understand. It is for a higher purpose. It is not only for money or for fame, for whatever. It's for something higher.
Yeah.
Then that is the best education that a man can give to the wife and the children.
Yeah.
That my father is doing something that is beyond his selfish needs. You see?
Yep. Yep.
Bila ada benda tu, insya-Allah,
Yeah.
the characteristics of men can still be achieved.
Yeah.
Boleh capai.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share a little bit je. Atau you dah nak selesai dah ni?
No, start. Carry
You
on. Bismillah.
Sikit.
Carry on. Yeah.
You see, you speak about level playing field tadi kan. Macam sekarang ni lelaki perempuan sama. You see, I posted a picture of the French Revolution. Right? The bare-breasted Marianne.
Yep.
Right? That's one of the iconic pictures of the French Revolution.
Yep.
And Marianne is actually a goddess,
Mm.
Okay, in America, she's known as Libertas. The Statue of Liberty tu. Okay, that is Libertas. Okay. In France, Marianne. So, she was drawn as bare-breasted and being the leader of the revolution. Right? Why bare-breasted? To show that, of course, women should not be ashamed of their sexuality. They can expose their bodies as how men can expose their bodies and all these things.
Yeah.
But the main purpose is, of course, targeted towards religion. We know that the French revolutionaries were against religion and the monarchy.
Yep.
Right? But you cannot abolish the monarchy, you cannot abolish religion unless you liberalize sex. One of the ways. You need to liberalize sex because religions hold on shackled sex lah, in that sense lah, kan? Protect sex. So you liberalize sex. But you cannot liberalize sex unless what do? You destroy the concept of marriage. Okay?
Yeah.
And that cannot happen unless you destroy the concept of gender. You see? So that's where the transgender LGBT comes into the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So bila benda ni berlaku, then there's no family structure anymore.
Yeah.
Family and religion goes well,
Yeah.
and the LGBT movement with atheism goes well. Perasan tak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Because it
yeah.
leads towards there. Yeah.
Yeah, I realized also like when I was thinking about Ustad, what do you think about this? Like, I one of the things I believe that the cause of this surge of LGBT tendencies is because of this problem that the people do not see how different is a man and how different is a woman on a internal level. And so because it's such a materialistic world, right? Because they cannot see the difference, and men today has lost their so-called initial function. The people of our time, if for example, like when you look at for example, our parents' generation or my parents' generation, I see the family structure is somewhat safe because they have the remnants of their previous generation, but that so-called degeneration, when it came to our generation, is very clear cut, and that's why we see such a huge surge of homosexuality and all these kind of things, because the lines of what is masculinity, the lines of what is womanness is so vague. And so these people, it's no difference. I can be a man, I can be a girl, and it even makes sense, right? The interesting part is it almost makes sense that they can say I identify as a man, I identify as a girl, it boleh, like, it's a possibility to, you can reason out that is possible, because, and I find that so puzzling. How is that even possible, like, wow.
You see, the mottos of the French Revolution, one of it is equality, right? Equality.
Yeah.
And equality, to them, for you to establish equality is for you to abolish hierarchy. This is what they seek to abolish.
Yeah.
And the first place where human beings learn about hierarchy is in the family. Right? Father and son, mother and father.
Yeah.
Hierarchy.
Yeah.
So if you want to equalize the society, you have to remove the first institution that teaches human beings about hierarchy. That is the problem. So coming to the one of the arguments of the LGBT movement, I mean, I found it puzzling. Like, how can many intelligent people got swayed with the arguments, right? For example, people may come and say, in America, this kind of people dah ada tau, jangan terkejut. They identify themselves as animals. They're already around.
I know.
They in universities. And they refuse to talk like human beings. They only bark. And when you talk to them, they'll bark.
Stop.
Maybe they will show to you a statement saying that my identity, I am actually a dog. And you have to treat me like one. See, this has already started. And when you ask the LGBT people, how do you respond to this then? That's where you see all of the arguments fall apart.
The hypocrisy.
Because most of them will not accept this also.
Yeah.
Then an old person can commit a crime and say, I'm actually a 10-year-old boy in a 70-year-old body, right? You cannot hold me responsible for this. Saya belum balik lagi sebenarnya. So all this chaos will set in.
And
so,
all
Please continue.
And all of this is from the definition of words. Is that like all of this comes down to how you define your terms, how you define your life. Everything boils down to this, and it's such.
There's one video by Jordan Peterson. I mean, he was interviewed by a feminist. Like, the feminist asked him, "What do you think about a transgender women?" Sorry, she asked him, do you think there's such a thing as a transgender woman? He straightly said no. See, because it's an oxymoron, isn't it? A trans, when you say trans, you dah melangkaui transgender, and then suddenly you bring in women there. You see, it all boils down to words have no meaning anymore. You can say women, but what you mean is actually a tree now. I mean, it's your right to do that now. See, I mean, what madness is this? So in the end of the day, we have to come back to traditional values. When we call the non-Muslims, of course, sometimes we need to call them to Islam, but at least we call them to come back to traditional values. Even you look at America, even the values that they had before 1960s. You look at their movies, you still find stories about honor, about courage, about manliness. 70s, 80s, 90s, you can see. See,
The-
now in Netflix, all
Yeah.
kinds of nonsense.
Yeah.
A 10-year-old girl, I watched this in Ben Shapiro's show,
Mm.
a clip from Netflix. This 10-year-old girl was lecturing two doctors who identified her friend, who's actually a boy, but identified himself as a girl. But these two doctors wrote her down as a boy. See, so this girl, yang kawan dia ni, was lecturing the doctors. You cannot do this, you need to respect this. And the doctors was, oh, okay, we made a mistake. What kind of madness is this?
Yeah.
10-year-old girl lecturing two doctors whom has identified the gender of this boy correctly, kena tukar. And they were considered as buat salah and all these things. So, I mean, how can you define this intellectually?
Yeah.
That is why they have to bring in post-truth,
Yeah.
post-factual world. Like,
Yeah.
truth is not important. What is truth after all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Ni semua dah start masuk.
Yeah.
Relativism,
Yeah.
you know, masuk semua ni. Sophistry, habis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we have to defend.
Yeah.
Our fort is there actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And
We
Ustad,
have to move
yeah.
forward from there. Yes.
Yeah, and I realized that like this pursuit to protect this fort, I realized, you know, on like at this current point, like we can share this with so many people. You know, there's so many people who believe in this, who realizes the problems of society, who realizes this incursion into society, that it breaks down family. There's so many people who believe what this exact thing which we are talking about, you know. But I believe there's not much people speaking about it. You know, like not much people speaking about this. Is it because you think they are afraid of it, or afraid to speak about it, or they are afraid of their personalities being called backwards and stuff like that? Why do you think is that? Like,
Of course, you see, one of the Google punya workers and stuff who said that a woman is a woman, a man is a man. He refused to buy on this transgender nonsense kan. Dia kena pecat kan. He was fired. And many of such cases happen in the West. Even in the East now, the lobbyists are getting strong. The LGBT lobbyists are getting strong. Just a simple statement saying that there's no such thing as transgenderism, for example, can end you up in some big troubles lah.
yeah, yeah,
That's why this is where we have to bring in the cause to fight for though.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Men have to put their what we say is precious things on the line.
yeah,
Right? Kena bersedia to sacrifice these things.
yeah. I remember
Recently,
yeah.
I talked to some people who have some trouble in their marriage. Right? Obviously, one party is oppressing the other. But most of the time, I hear this statement. They will say, "Okay lah, there's no point lah to fight lah. Eventually, that person is the gay lah. So let's not fight for it anymore." So this unwillingness to fight for what is right, what is just,
Yeah,
tak ada. Why? Because kalau you nak fight, you kena sacrifice banyak benda. You sacrifice time, commitment, penat.
Yeah.
You kena mati.
yeah,
You get insulted by people, abused by people.
Yeah.
Maybe you can even lose your job and all these things. But there's no other choice. If you want to retain your manhood, if you want to retain your humanness, life is a struggle after all.
yeah, yeah,
Nabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala.
Yeah.
Allah created life and death to test which one amongst us is actually the best in deeds.
yeah,
Right? To
Yeah.
test us. That
Yeah.
is the point. So
Yeah.
what is the meaning of test?
Yeah.
Test is sacrifice. Test
Yeah.
is difficulty.
yeah,
Test is pain.
Yeah.
Test is being injured.
Yeah.
Test is being attacked.
yeah, yeah,
And you go through it honorably.
yeah.
You see?
Yeah, and we like as though we are the people nowadays are takut, like we are afraid. Yeah.
My battery, I don't know, is going down drastically.
Yeah.
I just plugged in to the
Yeah.
power source. It's going down and down. I don't know why. So kalau terputus, please pardon me.
Okay, how many percent are you at? Is that?
9% suddenly.
Ah,
At
Allah,
least 60%. I don't know what happened.
Allah. Okay,
I think
okay.
it's time for me to get a new phone. Okay, just continue.
Yeah,
Bismillah.
yeah.
Kita
So
dapat. Yeah.
inshallah. So like I think one of the fears that we have is this reluctance to face these things as though it's a negative thing, as though like pain or difficulty or struggle is become a negative thing, when actually this pain, struggle and difficulties are means by which we become stronger. By means by
I mean, you
which.
pergi gym, you buat jujutsu kan?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? Can
Yeah.
you become better without pain, without tiredness, without...
No.
Tak boleh.
Yeah.
You nak buat body sado pun,
Yeah.
you have to carry weight, you have to feel some pain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we cannot develop, we cannot evolve unless spiritually
Yeah.
evolving, unless we feel pain, we struggle,
Yeah.
we can attack, we get injured. There's
Yeah.
no other way. There's no shortcut for it.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
No shortcut.
Yeah. I remember
But do not
yeah.
find it unnecessarily.
Yeah,
Do not seek for danger unnecessarily, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah, I almost remember that Syabda Qadir, I don't know if you remember, he said something very interesting. He said, man is not married until he goes beyond the family project. If not, he only is married to a mistress, you know. And I think,
that's one of my favorite statements lah.
yeah.
Bila I kasih khutbah nikah, I akan give that statement.
MashaAllah, Ustaz, MashaAllah. You know, and it's so much meaning, you know, like, and it's connected to like everything, you know, like as a person, as a man, when I look at my development individually and how difficult it was, you know, to even say something to my wife, because I personally did not feel I was worthy to say something to her, you know, like that was the struggle I was going through. But when as time goes by, and when you learn the words of the scholar, you know, words of whatever we learned before, the preparedness of life that gathered on for this moment for you, to like everything just clicked, you know, for you to have the encouragement or have that perspective for you to go to the next leap was for me something that literally like broke everything in my how I saw the world, you know. And all of it was so interesting is because, you know, like it's so amazing that what you were going through was affecting me, and what I was going through was affecting me, but this whole entire world was moving in a way that it was for me to realize so many things about myself. This COVID affected how I looked at the world. You know, your transition affected how I see the world. My personal development was affecting how I see the world. Like, all of this was vital for me to change my perspective, you know, or for me to grow out from the adolescence that I think I was in, you know. And I think that's the something that that we don't recognize enough today, you know, like that we are all in this journey together, that every human being is on a journey to go back to Allah, you know, on is going back to Allah, going back to our source, you know, which Allah
Pursuit
SWT,
for meaning.
Going back to our meaning of why we exist, and how interconnected our lives are, you know. And the only thing which we have at the end of the day, like how can I make meaning of this world, you know, like one moment I am sad, one moment I'm happy, one moment I'm this, one moment I am that, you know. It is all this transition of life. How can what is this that I'm searching for, I'm going towards, as a man, as a father, as a son? And it would not have any meaning if it did not come from, if the first question of our life is not answered, in my perspective, is why do I exist, you know. Like, if we don't solve this one question, if we don't ask ourselves, like, why am I here, you know, why am I doing this world, what is this reason of all of this, nothing of whatever comes next, no matter what self-help book, no matter what guru you go to, no matter what all of that go to, if you don't face this one reality and ask yourself properly, why am I here, nothing else will exist, you know, nothing else will have meaning, right, Ustad?
Exactly. You see, we know the purpose of the slippers that we wear, right? We know the purpose of the chair that we sit on. We know the purpose of the flush, the toilet.
Yeah.
How can we not know our purpose?
Yeah.
People who know the purposes of every item in his or her house, but refuse to look himself at the mirror and ask, what is your purpose? I mean, that is not human enough lah.
Yeah.
Okay. Belum jadi manusia lah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I think, like I think a lot of us face this difficulty, you know, like like face this difficulty of why do we feel it's so difficult to face that reality, like ask ourselves like why I exist, why it's so difficult about it, Just what do you think?
You see, partly if you want to understand from the extreme angle, the atheists lah kan, like how many of them why many of them do not want to accept this reality that there is a God, that your life has purpose that is set already for you. It's not good for the nafs. It's not pleasurable for the nafs. You will have to do things that your nafs does not want. It boils down to that, right? You cannot just claim this is my life and I can do whatever I want with it. No. Being aware of that meaning is like saying, no. This is not your life. You see, and your path of life has been set. No one likes to hear that, right?
Yeah.
No one. Even I, when I'm saying this, it's not something easy to accept. It's not even beautiful. But if you were to understand God's plan, you understand Allah, we learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we learn about Islam, we learn about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it becomes beautiful. Right? But when people are ignorant of God, ignorant of the path of Islam, ignorant of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course it's something scary. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Will you you beranak aja, someone tells you, your path, your meaning of life, your purpose of life has been set.
Yeah.
Something in you suddenly vanishes. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, but I also think that people don't explain it properly, Ustad. I believe they don't explain this thing properly.
The Islamic education problem lah.
Yeah.
Kan, that deserves one 3 hours talk lah about that. I mean, that is one of the our thoughts, our efforts, our struggle. Must be focused on that.
Yeah. Like Ustad, like whenever you said that, it's very interesting. I was just talking to someone yesterday about it. Like this is how I've understood this whole thing. Is like, if we look on a personal level, like me, Mubarak, like my reality of becoming, for example, the Prime Minister of Singapore will very be unlikely. Because of my
Prime Minister?
Prime Minister of Singapore will probably be very unlikely, because of my social and economic background, my people who I'm born with, my family I was born into,
your race,
my race, all of this, will automatically make that position very, very unlikely. But there are other possible likeliness, kan? And then when we look at it from a intellectual level, no need to put religion inside this, just intellectual level, it makes sense. Like, like determinism, my whole what I will become, I actually have no real control of it, And then the problem is this thing, like when a person realizes that he is not at peace with the fact that I cannot control it, I cannot control my destiny. He is not at peace with that fact. And then, but the only, I think, is that the problem
because
is
he doesn't know who controls his destiny. If some Tom, Dick and Harry yang control my destiny, I pun I'm the king, kan? But if we were to know that the one who is in control of our destiny is the All-Merciful, the All-Wise, baru kita akan tenang. Kalau tak, that's why the panic is all out there.
What if it will be correct for me to say that the thing that we do have in control is our niat inside of it, that destiny.
Oh yes, of course.
Right. So I think people don't mention that niya. They just say Allah controls your entire life and that's all you have, But they don't tell you that you have that niya, like you are in control something, your intention, So seize the intention. And what is our intention? Every single moment of your life, that is your intention.
But partly also some people claim that everything has been determined by Allah. Even your intention, even what you want. I am not with that mazhab.
Okay.
You see? I believe that your intention is yours. Okay. For example, like Fir'aun's intention to commit shirk is his. We cannot say that Allah himself directed Fir'aun to want to commit shirk. If that is the case, then nothing exists but God. Right? Fir'aun himself doesn't exist actually. So everything becomes meaningless. So we have to take responsibility of our intention. It is ours.
Ustad, like one I just want to share with you about Firaun, like this thing about intention, when I was reflecting on Nabi Ibrahim's story, about since we are in Hajj, right? I just want to bring it up also.
Yeah.
Like it's connected to fatherhood also lah, in that sense, son, and how he
is
was.
the great patriarchy.
Yeah.
He is the great patriarch.
Yeah.
Sorry, great patriarch. Yeah.
So I heard this song by this Jewish guy. He's called Mati Shahu. So he sang this song called I think the title was Akida. The title of Akida, and he was about the story is about Nabi Ibrahim lah. And in one of the paragraph he was saying that Abraha, take your son, take your blade, 3 long days, 3 long nights to the valley of your Lord. So when I heard that song, I just struck me like when what the Nabi Ibrahim story where he went to Nabi Ismail and ask him, tell him that I have to bring you up to the mountain to slaughter you. Allah has sent me in a dream to do it. What was and he did not. It's not just like that scene, and then the next scene throws he's up the mountain, and in doing it. In reality, like he was human being. He was a human being. He had human feelings. He was going through something, and and he had to tell his son. Imagine the state of his heart where he had to tell his son to go up that mountain for 3 days or something, or whatever how many days it was. The state of his heart, how it could be, how he was turning and boiling over. The state. I imagine myself put in that situation. I don't even know what I will do. I cannot imagine the state of my heart. But this Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, he at every single moment of the time of the journey he went up, that what was determined is that Allah will change Nabi Ismail into we ask him to change it into a goat. That is determined.
Yeah.
But what he had in between was his state of his heart. With Allah, whether he was in complete submission or not. So in his heart, he could have been, Ya Allah, why you do this to me? Ya Allah, why you do this to me? I done this so many things for you. He could have done that, but Nabi Ibrahim didn't. He was in total submission for 3 days, or whatever the days is like. He went up until even doing it. He was in complete submission. And if I realized for me, how would I make sense of that is, imagine if I was in Nabi Ibrahim's shoes, if my destiny was that, if my destiny was Nabi Ibrahim's destiny, what would I be? What would I do? And then you realize, this man, Allah made this man special to show me that the human being has a capacity for greatness. That is a human being has a capacity, and what more beautiful that our Prophet ﷺ, he is a culmination of that perfection. That all the Prophet is bounded in this one man, the Abdullah. What we're referring to, that is the ultimate human perfection, that he has given us the yardstick of what is the best actions. Is that? And I
beautiful.
Yeah. And just to end with that, not just to end with this Nabi Muhammad SAW, and it's like the story about he SAW said that Jannah is under the feet of your mother. Right, he said Jannah is under fear, but we know that he never took care of his biological mother. Like, she died, she passed away, right? And all he had was a foster mother, or nursing mother,
wetness.
Right? Wetness. So he only had that, but the wetness is not the biological mother in essence, right? You surely have a different reaction to a different relationship, and we have no statements of the Prophet ﷺ about how he took care of his mother, but we only can judge him. We only can what we have instead is what he said about his slaves. Like, he never how he treated his slaves, how he treated his wives. Such an amazing person. Like, you cannot imagine that
he never even asked his slave, why didn't you do this?
Subhanallah.
Why didn't you do that?
Subhanallah, he never did that.
That's the cukup lah. That statement is enough for us to understand how he treated his slave.
Yeah. And this same man told us that Jannah is under the feet of our mother, right?
Yes.
And we don't have any statements of the Prophet ﷺ saying how he took care of his mother. And then what I was reflecting is that how you imagine the Prophet ﷺ taking care of his mother is the level of how you see how great he is, the reality of the imagination of how the Prophet ﷺ is, how great he is, can ﷺ is only when you reach when you reach that pinnacle of your imagination of how great he is, you can only go further. You know, there's no end to that thing. There no end to how great the Prophet ﷺ could be for your life. You know, what do you think about that, Ustad?
If you can imagine higher than that, that means he's not the Khatamul Anbiya.
Allah Akbar.
He is not Rahmatan lil Alamin, right?
Allah, yeah.
If you can,
Yeah.
but we can't.
Yeah.
That means he is the Rahmatan lil Alamin.
Yeah. 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 And that no, and then yeah, you know, that is this has been the things that's going through my mind, you know, this Ramadan, you know, how as a man, you know, like this change in myself, you know, how do I make sense of it? And then this ongoing process, you know, like I told you, like, you know, I took a lot of courage and strength from what you were going through, you know, what you were facing. And from that I had to look into myself. I also was going through so-called like a crisis lah, you know, of the people around me and the people situation, the groups that I was following, you know, the mentality. And I realized, Alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the understanding that I could not stay in such a relationship or environment lah. And then also the reality of being a father and all of that combination. And I realized that whatever was that we went through before was necessary for us to arrive at where we are at, you know, and that itself is such a beautiful thing. So
that's the struggle. That's the struggle.
Yeah,
it's not easy. Yes.
Yeah.
But what's important is that you contemplated upon it.
Yeah.
Right? You took it seriously. How many pertinent events that happen in our lives that we took it lightly? Right? These are all events to teach us. Events are there to teach us.
Yeah.
But we thought that it is just random, you know, it's just an incident. But no, if we believe that our life is in the hands of the All-Wise, there's nothing that is coincidental.
Yeah.
That means there's learning points, important learning points in every single thing.
Yeah.
You see, we should appreciate whatever has happened, even the bad things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciated all the human beings that I have encountered in my life.
Yeah.
People who taught me the good things or the wrong things or the bad things. People who have committed evil upon us.
Yeah.
We should look back and say, Alhamdulillah for everything.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah for everything. And if they are sincere, may Allah. If we are sincere, if they are sincere, may Allah guide everyone to Jannah.
Yeah.
And in Jannah, inshallah, we'll be shocked
Yeah.
to find some people there, and some people will be shocked to find, inshallah,
Yeah.
us there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that shock is a beautiful shock.
Yeah. Yeah. And I realized was that, you think about it, when I look at my life and how much I've changed and stuff like that, you know, and this journey, and then I look at another person behind me, how can I not think he's going through the same situation, you know? How can I know he's not going through this? That person is going through that also. That person possibly going through that, you know. And then that is such a, I would say, like a oneness, you know. Is that like you feel oneness in that sense, you know? And it,
Nafsun wahida. He created us from one soul. Remember?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And that oneness of the human nature. Human essence is one.
There's only one human essence.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. MashaAllah, Ustad. MashaAllah. You know,
Alhamdulillah.
and you know, I really want to speak to you more about this family thing, you know, Ustad. Like, because I think this family issues about manliness, about womanness, about ideas of family is more than just this one situation, like, you know, one discussion. You know, we need to talk about it more, because I feel like I see it, you know. I see how my sisters, my cousins, my whoever is around me, when they get married, they are shocked by the reality of marriage. And I see my cousins, my family, my friends, you know, so when they get children, even worse is that. When they dapat anak, when they get children, it's even worse. You know, they're like go mad, you know.
Yeah.
And the man
is disoriented, you know.
And then the men also, when they get married, they thought they were gonna, you know, have a halal period, but no, you know, they just got they're like, oh shit, I clipped my wings, you know, so so, and then the reality is that is because they have not understood the reality of what they're putting themselves inside, you know, the reality of the situation they're in, you know. And I feel sad, you know, I feel sad that a lot of people are going through this. A lot of people are facing this thing and they don't have the answer and don't have the means to the people around them to remind them. And I just like Ustad, one of this is this like I honestly do not care about whether how many people watch this or how many people benefit. Wallahi Ustad, like I don't feel anything. One of my friends asked me, Mubarak, you want to do this because you want to be a teacher one day, is it? And I said, honestly, I don't care at all. Not because why I don't care is because I do not know what Allah is doing for me. What the future brings, I do not know. I have no control also. But what I have control is right now. This right moment, this very moment, I have control of it. And my intention of it is what I am going to do the best of what I can do. Lillahi Rabbil Alamin, So it doesn't matter what the future brings, whatever happens. Right now, it might be, Ustad, I'll be honest with you, Ustad, and I hope you agree with me. One moment, inshallah, in the future, or inshallah, Allahu Alam lah, in the future, someone comes around and tells you, oh no, Deros, whatever you thought about Ibn Arabi and is all, this is what the answer is. And then, it could be, you never know, Ustad, it never know, So but what is important is that right now, this is the most honest person I am to Allah. Right, Ustad? You correct now, Ustad?
Exactly.
Kan?
I mean, what are you? What am I? Kan kita ni we work with the best that we have.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we follow where the evidence leads us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If there's a higher evidence, better evidence,
Yeah.
higher truth,
Yeah.
leads us there.
Yeah.
That's where we have to go. The truth is our imam.
Allahu Akbar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Truth is our.
Yeah. And I think that would be like the best closing statement lah, the truth, the truth is our imam, wherever it takes us. And then the most important part of all of this is like you must have that courage to face it lah, And courage is having the courage to face it is not easy. It's not a walk in the park. Kan, is that?
If you have a spiritual mirror, then maybe you can see the injuries on your spiritual body.
Allah.
Right? But we don't have spiritual mirrors. But everyone has injuries on their spiritual body. Right? Everyone. But look at it and say, Ya Allah, I have nothing to give you. But this, maybe. Right?
Yeah.
InsyaAllah, may He accept this from all of us.
Amin, insyaAllah. And I thank you, Ustad,
May
again.
Allah accept the good deeds that you're doing. InsyaAllah,
Amin.
may it prosper. I
Amin.
love the name,
Yeah.
Pursuit for Meaning.
Yeah.
If I were to do a podcast, I believe I will choose something like that also. But you dah curi dulu. So
How do you like my logo, Ustad? How do you like my logo? Okay tak? Logo okay tak?
sorry, logo I belum scrutinize lagi. Siap lepas ni I scrutinize.
Okay, Ustad.
You design it yourself?
No, my cousin designed it for me. Okay lah, actually you got good idea lah. Not bad, alhamdulillah. Ustad, if I show you my initial idea of my logo, you probably sepak me. Cause I like Alhamdulillah, Ustad. Thank you so much. I really appreciate taking your time. 11, I know you don't usually take this long. But Alhamdulillah.
And I hope the listeners benefited also from this session.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, everyone benefited. And inshallah we can do it again, Ustad. And I thank you again.
No worry.
And
I have much free time now.
Okay, Ustad. I'll see you soon, inshallah.
Okay. Inshallah.
When you plan to come, maybe we talk after this. I'll end this and I'll talk to you a bit.
Depends on the border lah kan. Border saya tak buka lagi, so I have no choice lah. Once buka, immediately I akan masuk. I have to visit my mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, Ustad. And I just
Okay, Barak, send my salam to all your family.
Inshallah.
Okay.
Inshallah. Okay.
Those that I know. So
Yeah. Inshallah.
you were to meet them lah.
Okay. Assalamualaikum, Ustad.
Jazakumullah.
You know what?
Waalaikumsalam.
How do you say? I love you for the sake of Allah.
Uhibbuka fillah.
Wa uhibbuka fillah, Ustad. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Ana uhibbukum fillah. Insyaallah.
Assalamualaikum. Maybe. Oh, stop.